not. But as we are moving, I'm hoping most people you are understanding this whole concept of market structure and everything, right? So we did order blocks, we did the fib, right? Now, when we did order blocks, I felt there is need for us to get in deeper with them and to actually help you to try to locate which order blocks do work. So I'm going to do order blocks for now and I'll do the Fibonacci later, but we are going to do it on this same session, right? So ladies and gents, what did we say an order block is? We said an order block is a last buy before you sell candle or a last sell before you buy candle, right? Now, firstly, I would want us, please, what I'm about to draw here, I'm not good at drawing, but what I'm about to draw, if you have a pen and paper, just draw it somewhere because it's going to help you a lot in the long run. It's going to help you a lot. And trust me, you're going to be happy. I'm seeing a couple of guys currently, they are actually showing me impressive results just by these small lessons that we did, right? So, assuming we are in an uptrend, right? For now, let's not focus on the order blocks that we are going to get in the middle of the trend. We want to be able to catch an order block that is actually going to reverse structure. Why? Because that order block is eventually going to give us a bigger move, right? And any more entries you are going to add within that trade, if we are going to utilize more order blocks, we want to have that one master order block, that sniper entry, right? So assuming we are in a buy, what you want to witness is, for now, I want you to just listen to this. We reversed a trend in different ways, right? We can have what we call an M formation, right? We can have, let me use a different color so that we distinguish between the drawings that I'm about to put. We can have what we call a false breakout for people who trade with trend lines, right? We can have the other one that can have let me use blue here. We can have a bigger leg, shorter leg, and a continuation, right? And we can have both legs above like this, right? So the most common one that we get is this one over here. And for now, I would want us to hunt setups which have this type of M, right? Sorry guys, back then I used to trade using BTMM and some price action which talked about M's and W's, but trust me, if choose way to say it now, okay? Anyways, it's fine. So now let me justify what I'm saying. If we are in an uptrend, we expect to have highs and lows. If we expect that low to break the previous high, we expect the new high to give us a new low. We expect that new low to break the previous high. We expect that high to give us a new low. We expect that low to break the previous high, right? The moment we say like high, low, high, and that low fails to break, and we fail to get, sorry, let me repeat this again. Sorry about my English there. That's what I'm trying to correct. If we're in an uptrend with a high, a low, that low should break the high, and that high should give us a new low, and that low should break that high. Now there's a moment when you see that your trade will fail to give you a new high, right? Rather, it will come and break this low. Now, this first break here, this first break of the previous low is what we call the change of character, right? And this second break here is what we call the break of structure. I just thought I could repeat that because we're going to be using that same example throughout the session, right? So, as for me, what I want to witness is I want to see a high, a low, a high, a low, a high, a low, a high, a low, a high. Now, I want to see a low that gives us a high that fails to break the previous high, right? So that high, I'm expecting it here. So I'm gonna use red color so that we work with the newly anticipated trend, right? So now we have our change of character, right? Which happens here. This is our first break of the most recent low, right? So when I witness that change of character, what do? I mark the order block, the last buy before I sold. That's the first thing I do. And now I wait for my break of structure, right? And when my structure is broken, what do I do again? I try to see after this change of character or just after this order block was made, was there any other order block that existed? Maybe it might be here. So now this becomes my first preferred order block. Why? Because it is the move that caused the break of structure. You understand now? I hope you understand, guys. So what I'm now waiting to see is a retracement, the formation of a low, right? Of a new low that is supporting the new downtrend that we are about to get into, right? When we see that low, what do? We keep this order block in mind. We keep this order block in mind. Now, there is one special tool that we need to introduce, and I hope before I said it out loud, you already answered yourself, right? Now we put our fib, this is our high, and this is our low. This is no longer our new high. Why? Because we have because this high here that we see there, here that I'm arrowing, is the responsibility why we now have a new low, right? And this new low, if you track, it resulted in the breaking of our first law, which was our change of character, and our second law, which we call our break of structure, right? So now I want to see where is my 50, my 61.8% or my 71%. Most probably, if they are here, this order block now becomes my first preferred order block, right? And remember, whenever we change direction after the breaking of those previous highs through Velcro structure, we retrace, we make a new high, we fall. We retrace, we make another new high again, we fall. But what is the advantage that we have now? The advantage is we will catch this whole move. Where? We will catch it here. At our OBs. I'll also introduce gaps, most probably in the evening or tomorrow morning. I'm not sure yet. So now we are able to say if we enter here on our order block, what are we leaving? We are leaving another new order block at these areas, right? And when we make a new low, we come back to those areas again. What are we leaving? We are leaving other order blocks. But where is my first entry? My first entry is here, right? At the peak here. While now everyone is thinking if whether they should flow down with the trend, you already have a first entry. And trust me, when you catch a trade at this point, you just look and sleep. If you're in M15, M30, H1, then even if you check tomorrow, your trade will be playing out just very nice, right? So I want to show you on the actual chart what I mean. like I always say, trading is one thing you can never lie to people about. When you have something to show, you have to prove it. And always we will use our chart, our MT5 to prove whatever we are saying, right? So I'm hoping we can all see my screen now. Let me choose a page. Let me choose a page. Let me choose a page that is clear. Um, we did this V25 in the morning, guys. You know, you see where it is now. It's just buying and buying and buying and buying. It was somewhere around this area, but look, it's here now. So let me choose a pair that we can actually both see. Right. Let me use H4. Let me choose a pair. Let me just try to get one pair that is clear enough. Let me try to choose one pair that's clear enough. All right, seems we can work with this V50. So anyways, let's make things easy for you guys. Just give me any pair to work with. Because I will skip pairs. I'll skip pairs. Can you just anyone just type me a pair to focus on in my inbox on WhatsApp? Just now. The first person to send me a message. Okay, V75. Someone said V75. Donald Rab. You said V75. So let's focus on V75. These are pairs I don't really trade, so they are not always on my right. So V75, as we can see, I don't know if you can work with a bigger or larger or smaller time frame. But let me remove all this noise that I was putting. All right, now our chart is clean. So now what we see on V75 in H1 is we had our own downtrending structure, as you can see here. And let me mark it in this way. We have a high, a low, a high, a low, a high, a low. Okay, let me use a highlighter. At least that one is a darker shade. We have a high, a low, a high, a low, a high, a low, right? Now, what do we see here? We see that we have a change of character there, right? We have a change of character. And after that change of character, which order block do we see at this area? Let me zoom in. This was our last buy before we sold, right? So what we do, we mark it, right? So just because we marked in H1, let's move to M15. Remember, you don't take entries that you see in H4 or H1 straight away. You need to scale down to lower time frames, right? So now our change of character is pretty much very clear. Sorry about that. Right. I was having a hard time trying to locate that point. So I'll use two time frames for this one. I'll use F15 and H1, three time frames and H4. I'll show you something that you have to see in H4 as well. So which one was our last sell before we bought to break structure? It's here, right? Let me show you. This is the candle. And what happened? What happened was it retraced back in that area, right? And then it continued, right? Now, what we see is in that M15, we have a new low and a new high, right? So let's mark them again, right? Let me delete here. Let's mark that area. When we mark that area here, this is now what you see here is your last sale before you bought. But let me show you something else again. We have, let's start with this area. Okay, let's just start with that area. When we move to M5, I want to show you something. Tracking to that area. When we move to M5 now, what do we see? Let me zoom out a bit. When we move to M5 now, come on. Hey. Right, when we move to M5, is there really nothing here? Nah, nothing of interest. Hey, I wouldn't want to move to there's someone who's writing on the whiteboard. I'll remove you, please. I can see your name. You start with letter J. Please don't write on the whiteboard. Okay, in this instance, for this one, there isn't. But what you see for this high here, for this high here, and this low that we created with an order block, and this newly made high, what can we witness? We witness that we have a last sell before we buy at which area? At this area here, and it retraced again in that area, right? Let's look for another entry. Let's look for this low and this high that was made here. If we try to track our last sale before we bought, which broke this high here, and which lies within the 61.8%. Since we are going up, we put our fib. Where is that order block? I guess we can all see it. It's here, right? It's here, right? So what did it do? Our trade retraced back to that order block and it continued, right? Now, what do we see again? We have a new high and a new low, right? So for that new high and new low, which reference are we putting if you want to track which order block worked? So we mark the low, we mark the high, we put our fib, right? I hope we are understanding this, guys. We put our fib, and what we see is our last sell, before we bought to break the new limit structure is here, which is where our trade retraced, right? And this is an area where our 71% is lying, right? So just by knowing that we have the 71 or the 61.8% and our order block, this gives us confidence to what? To buy and enter the market. Now I want you to see something. This is M5. So remember I told you you are putting your stop losses below there. The actual rule of an order block is if you see an order block, let's say this is your buy candle. Let me use a different color. I understand some people they understand when they see actual colors. If you are buying, right? Let's say this is your last buy before you sold. So I want you to also focus on the tails that I'm putting. And after you bought, let's say this is a sell and your trade goes down. What you actually do is you mark your order block area. Now, if your candlestick is too big, you mark the bodies. If your candlestick is too small, you mark the tails. The actual rule of an order block is when you come back within that zone, your stop loss should be right on the tail. But as for me, I will be honest, that doesn't really work. Sometimes you can even see a pin just trying to come and tap on that area, and then it falls again. So what you do is at least try to measure half of this candlestick, the last buy before you sold, and then you place, or when you mark your order block area, the same distance between your tail and half of that body is your stop loss. That's what I do personally. And I've always found ways to win using that strategy. I just saw someone saying it and then I followed it. It's not something that I, figured out on my own. So let's choose another pair. Let me see if someone sent another pair. Someone said boom 900. I'm not sure if boom 900 has just been booming and booming and booming away today. Since yesterday, is it? Let me check. So let's go to boom 900 as requested and see if we can get something. So on boom 900, I'll start by looking at previous areas. So in H4, what do we see? We see that we are actually reversing to go in an uptrend. Yes, we have been in a downtrend right now. This is a perfect example of that drawing that I taught you, right? So what you can see here, I want to write this aside. You can see that we have a low, a high, a low, a high, a low, a high, a low, a high, a low. This low was never fully broken, right? And then now we have a change of character. We left our breakout track. We left our order block at this area here. So since we now see that we have our change of character, some people might want to come and play around and consider this a high. Remember, a high area is not an area of a high or a low is not an area whereby you have to completely see this big high and this big low. Sometimes you can even see a high, a low, a high, a low, and a high, a low, as little as that. So I'm seeing that we have a high here and we have a low before we moved going down. Now, our breakout structure, it happened at which area? It happened here. So this was our change of character. I hope we are understanding, guys. I hope we are understanding, right? Now, ish, someone is calling me from the session. Let me just switch off my data. All right. So now, if you look closely, we said we are looking for a high, low, a low, a high, a low, a high, a low, a high, a low, a change of character, a break of structure, a retracement to an order block, and then a continuation. Now, this is what's happening. A high, a low, 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 a change of character, a break of structure. So now we are here. This area here is this area here, right? So now we are retracing back where we are now retracing back to our order block and a continuation. Now, fortunately, our order block, which we respected, is at this area. And we are now left with that continuation to fulfill, right? So let me do this. Let me do this. What I'm drawing here, everything that I'm saying here, we want to zoom in again in this area. I'll show you something when you go into a smaller time frame. And so let's zoom in. We are not changing any time frame, but we're just zooming in. So now what you see is this is our change of character, like we said, and this is our breakout structure, like we said. Right. So where is that order block that is going to make sense for us? So remember we said we take our fib and then we place it going upwards. Why? Because we are buying. Anything that lies above the 60% is noise to us. We don't want it. But anything that lies below the 60% is of actual use. So what we see here is we have an order block precisely here. You see what price did? Just came to that area and then it went up, right? And again, what do we see? We have another OB where, let me do this. This one is backed up by a gap. So I haven't taught you about gaps yet, but I will. Zvacho zvinenge zvawandisa, so I can't teach everything all at once. We have a gap and an OB that are here. If you can manage to see them. And what did price do? It just came tapped and then it went up. Now, what did I teach you? I taught you that for whatever market structure, for whatever trade we are going to enter, what we are more focused on is market structure, right? We want to see our market structure getting those zones and reverse. So for instance, if we check here, let's work with this particular pair, particular momentum. We have a low, a high, a low, a high, a low, a high. As we approach that order block, in smaller time frames like M15, I'm now gonna go to M15. Remember, I said I'll show you something. I'm now gonna go to M15, and we want to see something. We want to see something in that M15 that will actually help us to even get more precise sniper entries. What do we see in M15? There's someone who's writing on the whiteboard. I'll remove you from the session. This is your last warning. Thank you. So what do we see in our M15? In our M15, we've been having our own market structure that has been downtrending, right? So instead of just reverting back, we can see that we have a high, a low, a high. So this is our valid high and this is our valid low. When it broke, we got a new high here, a new low, a new high here, a new low. Guys, allow me to zoom in. I'm not the one who put them there, it's Deriv. But when something is playing out just as we expect like this, things get very interesting, right? Okay, so where's that area? I hope I didn't lose it. Where's that area? This is not the area that I want. Where is it? Okay, it's here. So let me delete this here. So as I'm saying, what you can actually see now is I was just trying to zoom in. So like I was saying, we have our high here, we have our low, and our high was somewhere there, right? And then we broke that low, we got a new high, we got a new low. We got a new high, we got a new low. We got a new high, and we failed to break this low, this previous low here that I'm arrowing. So what do we have now? We have our change of character, right? And we now have our break of structure. This is in M15. When we had that break of structure, which one was our last sale before we bought? Our last sale before we bought is here, right? This one was our last sale before we bought. Now you see something. This is an order block, right? In that smaller time frame again. So after that break of structure, we retraced back in that order block and now we are buying. Did price ever come back to that area after this buy? Let's check. 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 It never. It just went from here. This is the area we're focusing, going straight up. Right. When we went up, for us to be able to know that you know, this trend is now finished in our M15. What do we expect to see? We expect to see a market structure with a change of character, right? So what do we see here? We see a market structure, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. We failed to break the high like I told you, right? With our first change of character, our breakout structure, which candle was our last sell before we was our last buy before we sold. That broke this structure and that was responsible for this change of character. I'm sure we can see it. It's this one, right? It's this one over here. And what happened? Price came back to that area. That order block tapped and then it went down. Now we have our new structure. High, low, high, low, high, low. When things are playing out like this, all you can do is just smile, right? And when we saw that, I want to show you something again. When we saw that we had our change of character here and our breakout structure here, what was the next thing we were looking for? We were looking for a new low, right? Which is this one, right? Now we have a new low and a new high. So for us to be able to know where that retracement is gonna end, who do we introduce? We introduce Mr. Fib. Just because we are selling, we drag the fib from up, going where? Down. And where did that retracement react? Let's zoom in. It reacted on the 61.8%. Exactly, it just went and tapped the 71 and then it fell. So imagine using this knowledge that I'm giving you guys to get this entry at any given point in time by just you being patient, right? Of course, it will fall, but your initial entry is already up there. You start adding entries in these areas, but your master entry is at the top, right? So I'm hoping with these simple explanations that I give, someone get something. For flags, now you can even check this is a good flag. Just because of our time, I don't think I'll be able to cover flags. I'll try to find where to fill them in. But well, it's as easy as that. So just a hint for people who are trading, this is our trade that we are going to focus with. We can see we have a clear flag over here, right? This is a clear flag formation. So what we are going to do is we are going to wait for price to come to our bottom channel. Then we want it to fail. It can do this, right? And then fail and then continue. Or at any given point in time, maybe soon after this move, what can it do? It can just come, fail, and then go up. Or what can it do even just now? It can just fail to break this low here again and then go up. So Boom 900 is gonna be buying pretty well. It's going to be buying pretty well. And if you follow it, based from what I taught you in the morning, you're going to make something out of it. Right. So thank you all for attending this afternoon Zoom session. I just wanted us to not to waste time, playing around, but find time, do something that's productive, and we continue with the rest of the day. I'll work on the topic that we are going to be doing in the evening. Those who want to join our marathon groups, I'll be helping you to turn $40 to 400. I'll be helping you to turn $100 to 2000 as well. For 40 to 400 is $20 sub fee for 1 month. And then for the 100 to 2000 is just $50 sub fee for 1 month. So it's such a good initiative. Why you get 1 month, I get to tell you stop losses, to use your lot sizes, I get to tell you your entries, your exits, your positions. So for those that want to work with us for the rest of June, you can just simply inbox. Whenever you purchase a service from us, remember you are getting a free t-shirt, a hoodie, or just a bottom. You know, winter is just around. So thank you all for attending. Those who have questions, you can also come to my inbox and ask. So thank you a lot. I'll share the flyer for tonight's topic. We continue. Enjoy the rest of your day.